Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I see that we have a couple people on the line. So thank you for joining us for this weekly webinar. Today, your host will be Elizabeth Franco and Christina Fischbach. Christina, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina.
So we're both from the Santa Barbara office. Today, we're going to present on ITAs, ONETs, and LMI. ITA is an individualized train account. That's for someone who is interested in going to school. And ONET and LMI, we'll get into some details a little bit after. These are tools that we use to help support an individual who's interested in training and going back to school. So if you have any questions, if you wouldn't mind going into the chat box to possibly either raise your hand or ask your questions. Both Christina and I will leave our information in the chat box if you would like to know a little bit about more our program. We're going to be talking a little bit about Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, the WIOA program. It's kind of challenging for me to talk about ITAs, meaning going back to school and looking at trainings without introducing the WIOA program. So the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act program is a federal funded program that gets trickled down to a local level to help support job seekers in the community. These are federal training dollars that we're able to allocate to either put people back into school for training or on-the-job training with employers, but that will be for another webinar sometime in the future. So for the purposes of today's webinar, we'll go ahead and start with ITAs. Christina, can you move forward to the first slide, please?
This one?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any questions in the chat box so far before we get started?
No, I'm just putting our information.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so an ITA, an individualized training account. An ITA is, like I mentioned, federal funds that get trickled down to a local level to support the needs of our community when someone is interested in going back to school to maybe revamp their skills, if someone is interested in possibly a career change. So there might be several different reasons why you might want to consider going back to school. One of the main reasons that I like to introduce individual training accounts to individuals that are actually doing a career change. When someone is interested in doing that, one of the things that I look for are the skills that someone currently has. And as you know, I'm just going to throw out let's say a computer analyst. Sometimes in certain industries, the type of skills that are required gets updated sometimes yearly, sometimes more frequently. So going back to school in an industry where skills are constantly being looked at in terms of software programs or in terms of additional skills that might be needed, it's a good reason to go back to school just to gain that underneath your belt, so it'll make you more marketable in the future. So that's, in a nutshell, what ITAs are about. We're going to talk about the next steps. Okay. Is there anything you want to add, Christina, to that?
No, you summed it up pretty well, actually.
Okay. So ITAs, first of all, I would like you to make note at the top right-hand corner where it says CalJobs. ca.gov. So this is the website that you actually want to go to when you start searching individual training accounts. So that email address or that website address is caljobs.ca.gov. So that's the website that you actually want to go on to once you are ready to start your research. So the first step is to go to ONET, and this slide I'm actually going to run through this because this is kind of like an agenda, if you will, of the next set of slides that we're going to have. So the ONET is an assessment tool that allows us to take a look at and talk about the interests that you have. It's called an interest profile. Then we'll go into CalJobs, the homepage, where to actually look for these trainings, these courses that are eligible under the California ETPL list and apprenticeship provider list. And we decided in Santa Barbara to use medical coding as an example. But if there's someone in the audience that's really interested in an ITA and going back to school to training, let us know, and we can use you as a live example if you would like to. If not, we'll just move forward with the medical coding and billing. And then we'll talk a little bit about ONET and LMI. The example that we'll give is medical coding and why we use these tools to help support someone who's going back to school. And then your last homework, if you actually decide to go through the WIOA program, will require you to look at 3 to 4 different jobs in your industry of choice here with local employers. So the next couple of slides will show you the how-tos. Any questions so far, or is there someone who in the audience that would like to maybe use one of their occupations of choice as an example? Are we good, Christina?
Yeah, no one said anything. So
okay, that's fine. Okay, so we'll move forward. ONET. So ONET is really the first step of the process. It's an assessment tool that we use to take a look at, again, like I mentioned, your interest of your areas of interest. So when you first go onto the website, which is located on the top left-hand corner, the www.mynextmove.org, you want to click on the interest profile. And if you look at the slide to the right, it'll show you kind of some of the examples of the questions that are asked in the questionnaire for this assessment tool. Anything you want to mention here, Christina?
Not here. Probably the next
Okay.
slide.
Okay, let's go on to the next slide then.
Okay.
So this is actually a snapshot or a snippet of the results of the test. And if you noticed on the top, on the left-hand corner, you'll see some titles with areas of color. The ones that I want you to take a look at for the purposes of this demonstration is notice that artistic is 24, enterprising is 22, and conventional is at 22. So what this tells me is these are 3 areas that show high results with however you answer the questions in the assessment tool. But if you click on to the hyperlinks, it'll actually dig a little bit deeper as to what exactly does it mean to be an artistic and why did I score high in this area. Next slide.
Actually,
go ahead.
The hyperlinks will also give you a couple of like like not leads, but like areas you can go in underneath what they like the bolded ones. If you go to the bolded ones and you click them, it will tell you, okay, these are the jobs that go under this. These are
the possible jobs
yeah.
that an artistic category would fall under?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Okay. And I know when I took this test, I don't remember what the results were, but I remember drilling down, and it gave me different ideas that I've never even considered or even thought of. So it's a really cool tool to use. Okay. Next
Ready?
slide.
Okay.
So how to access the California ETPL and apprenticeship provider list. So the first step was the ONET. We'll dig a little bit more deeper into how we use ONET. But this slide now talks about the ETPL list. The ETPL is an eligible training provider list. In order for an institution or a vendor or a school to get on this list, there's certain requirements that are needed in order to get your name or your course or your school onto this list. This list is very important because if you decide to go through the WIOA program, which is the program that Christina and I work under, then the only way that we could approve a training of your choice would be to access the courses on the ETPL list. I think that's all I want to say with this slide.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you Google the CalJobs and you log onto the home screen, where you want to drill down to is where Christina had circled the area where it says Access California ETPL and Apprenticeship Providers. That's where you actually want to go into in order to access the ETPL list. You don't need your login or your credentials to access the research on the ETPL list. In fact, I don't think we want to, right, Christina?
No, you don't want to sign in at all.
Okay.
If you just click that, it'll take you to the next page.
Right.
What we're going to talk about right now.
Right. So when you're on CalJobs, again, what you want to do is click on that Access California ETPL list and Apprenticeship Provider list. So once you log on there, like Christina mentioned, you'll get the next slide to the right or to the right side of this PowerPoint slide. And you want to click on, there's 3 links to look up these type of programs. So there's 3 different avenues to, let's say, for example, we're using medical coding. You could go through the training and provider and school link. You can go through training and education programs, or you can go through the ETPL approved programs. Sometimes depending on how you're using it and the purpose behind it, one link might be better than another. For example, if you have your heart set on a specific school, let's say Santa Barbara City College, then you want to see what kind of courses are being offered there. And I think the best way to do that would be training and education programs, right, Christina?
So if you know, so I'm going to go more in depth with it, like on the
Yeah.
next pages, but
Oh, okay.
like I put in parentheses, I kind of just made it a little bit shorter so you guys would understand a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
the training providers in schools, that's where you would put Santa Barbara City College if that's what you want to go, the school you want to go to. You would type in that and it'll bring up all the courses at Santa Barbara City College that we provide. And then for the training and educational programs, you would just say you don't know what area you want to go in. So our example is medical coding. If you want to go in that area, you would put medical coding in the search box,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll bring up all the schools programs underneath that area.
Perfect.
And then the ETPL approved programs, that will bring up all the programs in CalJobs that are approved by the ETPL.
And there really is over 10,000 programs,
Yeah.
and every day, every week, they are updating new course curriculums that you can select from. I actually had somebody go through the list, all 10,000, and I think it's something like 40-something pages, I don't remember, and it took them a few days. Okay, go on to the next page. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular slide talks about training providers and schools. The example that Christina gave, if you know the school that you want to go to, here's what it would look like.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about it?
Go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So like we said before, our example is Santa Barbara City College. That is one of the schools here in Santa Barbara. There's actually 2 facilities. So the one on Turnpike is our Wake Center, and then our main campus on Cliff Drive. And then, so we usually use the first one where my cursor's at. And they have so many programs. I would say probably about 10 pages worth of programs, maybe less. But if you click the hyperlink, it will bring you to the program information, and it'll tell you the cost, how long the program's going to take, and the program name. But if you click the hyperlink of the program name, it'll go more in depth.
Yes,
Right?
that's right. It'll go into like materials that are needed. It'll give you details whether the course, well, everything seems to be online right now, but whether or not pre-COVID, it would demonstrate or it would show whether or not the classroom was a physical in-classroom setting or combo where it was part computer-based and some in-classroom setting. But it seems like right now we're still, everything's online, right, Christina, or has any of that changed with any of the campuses?
So we actually have some campuses. It depends on what you go into. So
Oh,
we
awesome. Okay.
actually have someone that is doing air conditioning, and
Mhm.
it is an in-person class
Mhm.
at Dominguez Hills.
Mhm.
But right, that's the lab part. So they're doing the lab part later in the semester, but
Okay.
right now they're just doing the online part until things
Okay.
clear up a little bit more.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing that I want everyone in the audience to take a look at is when you're looking at course curriculums. Christina mentioned the program name. Okay, right now we have the example of accounting assistant bookkeeper certificate.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're interested in knowing whether or not the program is eligible for WIOA, because we can fund some of your training dollars, look at eligible for financial assistance under WIOA. Green check, that means it's eligible for the program. So we could potentially pay a portion of your program costs, but we'll get more into detail in the next upcoming slides.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christina.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this slide talks about training and education programs in your area that you might want to go into. We're giving the example of medical coding. And when you filter or you type in the keyword search under medical coding, you'll get the screen to the right side. The screen to the right side will pop up, and right here it pops up advanced medical coding. The name of the provider, really the institution or the vendor who's providing this course curriculum, is Castro Valley Adult and Career Education Center. It'll give you the address and the program cost for this particular program. Earlier, Christina, you and I had a conversation about advanced medical coding. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the difference between, let's say, medical coding here in Santa Barbara and somewhere else in Dominguez Hills or wherever it might be?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So each school has different names for medical coding. So, like at Loyola Marymount, it's actually medical coding and billing, but there's two different programs under it. Then at City College, at Santa Barbara City College, there's also two different programs. It's health technician, and I forgot the name, but I know it starts with health technician.
Mm-hmm.
And then medical coding specialist. It just depends on the school you decide you want to go to. Um, but you just kind of have to look, when you click the hyperlink, you have to look at the details of if that's exactly what you're looking for, because it changes at every school. It's just like the program that's here, it's only $500. So that means it's a very quick course. It's not that long of a course. It's probably more of a refresher course than anything. You kind of just have to look. You just kind of have to look and see before you're like, okay, this is the course I want. You have to do your research.
Yeah, your research.
Your homework
and you actually.
that we give you.
Yeah, you're actually bringing up a good point, because I remember I met someone early on in the program year, and the person wanted HR. They wanted an HR certificate, and we found HR certificate here in Santa Barbara and a couple local institutions, schools. And later on, I think you had suggested, or somebody in our group suggested, to take a look at a different HR certificate, and it was somewhere down south. And it actually had the HR certificate at the other school location, had an HR certificate with California laws incorporated with the course curriculum, as well as SHRM certificate. So if I was going through HR, that's probably the one I would select, me personally.
The one at Laverne, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So just do your little bit of homework, and we're here to help you, coach you, and help you navigate through the system as well. The point of this is just you don't have to, if you look at medical coding, that's not the one and only shot. You might want to expand it depending on your background.
Yeah.
If you are already in the medical industry, and let's say you already had some medical terminology underneath your belt, this might be a better course to pick, as opposed to a course that's longer and it's not really a refresher course like Christina said earlier.
So I do, when you guys come to the like the ETPL, I do come and play a lot with the ETPL, because people do stress out a little bit on it. So I kind of help them out a little bit, and what I do is I pick about, I would say probably out of like the 100 programs that could be in that area, I pick probably about 5 or 6, and I send it to you, and then you pick your top 3 out of the 6 or the 5, and then we will go from there.
Perfect.
So I do come and play a lot in this area.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
She's really well advanced and well versed in this area. So don't forget her name, Christina. No. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Next slide, please. The ETPL approved program. So there's over 10,000, like we mentioned. When you select the ETPL approved program, which is one of the 3 options that we mentioned on the earlier slides, you can see this is what it looks like. So for this particular example, it'll show you the program again and the list of the different programs and what it leads into. We can actually, the WIOA program will allow us to fund somebody up to $7,000. We will ask you to see if you can exhaust any financial resources like financial aid or other type of, no loans whatsoever, but we will ask to see if you're eligible at some point. But just know that if it's on the ETPL list and it's WIOA approved, we can pay up to $7,000.
Yeah, so
okay.
I did put an example here for you, so you guys would understand. So the 2 on the bottom, they're $13,000. So you would have to figure out, say you wanted that one, you would have to figure out, okay, I want this program, but am I going to be able to pay the past the 7,000 mark? So
Right. The balance
um,
of it, right.
yeah, so we would pay the 7,000, but you would have to pay the rest. Um, so financial aid would come into play with this area. Other if you can get like a Pal grant, I think it's called.
Mhm.
Um, you just kind of have to look and see if the school has scholarships, stuff like that, to help you pay for the other half. Um, and then the first one we would be able to pay out of WIOA because it's
Mhm. That would
4,000.
be paid in full. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next slide. Good point.
Yeah.
So ONET Online. ONET is a tool that I used pretty much every day. ONET, right here, it gives you the definition of ONET, but what I want you to take away from this particular slide is it stands for Occupational Information Network. It is sponsored by the U.S. Department of Labor and Employment and Training Administration. What I really like about ONET, we can go to the next slide,
Oh, sorry.
is
There you
I use it for multiple reasons, but when you log on to ONET, you want to make sure you're at this particular website. There is an onet.com, I think it is. If this home page or the what do you call it, if the home page doesn't look like this, the screen on the left, then you're not at the right website. So you want to make sure that you click when you're searching the ONET. It's www.onetonline, or it's really onetonline.org. Make
go.
sure it's .org.
Also, Liz, if they search in Google, if they just type in Own It Online, it'll bring it up too. It'll be the first link on
Okay,
Google.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So when you go to the home screen, once you log in, it looks like the screen on the left-hand side. For the purposes of the example that we're using with medical coding, we type in occupational quick search. This is the best way to help you navigate through this platform. If you're looking to, let's say, look at projections and look at what does it look like for a medical coder in my state, in nationwide. So I'll just continue going with the example. So we type in medical coding on the top right-hand corner where it says occupational quick search. Then the next screen that will pop up will be the screen or the slide to the right. It'll show you 20 occupations. Now, these are not job titles. These are occupations for medical coding and the closest match for this type of category. So you'll notice that they're medical records and health information technicians, medical assistants, medical transcription. What I like about this particular page, the sun to the right, where it says Bright Outlook, it has a future, medical coding has a future in this particular industry nationwide. And you'll notice at the very bottom it'll say 1 to 20 of 428 shown, so there's actually more, so you can continue to drill down other types of occupations that would match medical coding.
What I would want to say about this area where it says quick search for medical coding and billing. So
Mm-hmm.
what what we do when we do search them, we try to only look at the Bright Outlook ones because we do want you to have a future in that area. So the next, I think, slide will explain where we look for that.
Okay.
But I just want to let you know, so like if you guys do end up coming in the program wanting an ITA, we do mostly look at the Bright Outlook ones.
Right. And the reason being, if you decide to pick an occupation that's not really thriving in Santa Barbara, we would really be doing a disservice to put you into school, and then there's not any employers or these the jobs don't exist here in Santa Barbara. The example that I like to give is if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I want to be a um, I don't know, an actor."
Yeah, that's a good
Well,
one.
we're probably not going to find too many jobs here in Santa Barbara as an actor, but south of Santa Barbara, of course, in the Hollywood area, it might be something that's more thriving and has a better future for you in that area.
Yeah.
But we're sticking to the Santa Barbara area. Okay, next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so this is, oh, that's what you did. So you
Yes.
clicked on medical records and health information technicians.
Yes.
So when you click on that hyperlink, what you get is the screen to the right. And it's a summary report for medical records and health information technicians. What I like about this particular slide is that it gives you an example of job titles that you should be searching when you are job searching, and you're doing your homework to see if this is really an area that's going to be thriving in Santa Barbara and you actually want to make a commitment. You can look at different job titles that you could potentially have as a medical records and health information technician. It also tells you the tasks that you would potentially be performing, the types of technology that's really needed in that area. And the next slide.
Next slide. Okay.
Uh-huh. And then this is actually at the very end of the report. There's other things that are in the middle, but at the very end of the report, we really want you to take a look at the projected growth area. This is a national information. And as you see right here where Christina is pointing, it's much faster than average. It's 11% or higher. So chances are you're going to find these type of occupations and employment opportunities in Santa Barbara. The other thing that I want you to take a look at is wage and employment trends. Those are where you see it says medium wage 2019. That's a national average of how much you can expect with someone with little to no experience to start at, and what the annual wage might be. You could actually use this particular area if you want to drop down to, let's say you're thinking about relocating, seeing what the wage trends and what the projected growth may be in Las Vegas or wherever it might be if you're deciding to relocate. So those are just a couple features that ONET has to offer, but there's more. Okay, next page.
Can I just say something about this page?
Yeah, of course.
So for the projected growth, when we look at that area, we do from 4% or higher.
Oh yeah.
But we're actually really what we're looking at is 7% or higher. So the ranges that we go is 4%, 6%, and then 7% to 10%. And then like this one says 11% or higher. So when I say 7% or higher, that's the area that you want to kind of go toward. But when you go lower, you'll have to find more backup for, so like the 4% to 6%, we would want you to find jobs in that area. In the area you would want to go in. So it gives it a little bit more backup than when it says 7% or higher.
And the reason why we're asking for backup is, as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, we are federally funded, and so we will eventually get audited. And so since we have to report to not only the state but local level and the federal level, we want to make sure that we're using the federal training dollars wisely. And this is one area where we can show proof that not only is it faster than average, but then we'll go into LMI, and then we'll also pull some job leads to show proof that, yes, this is a good reason or good, we can validate why we're putting you to school.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say on that?
No, that's all I wanted to say.
Good point. Okay. Next slide. LMI. Um, LMI is labor market information. This talks a little bit about, well, it's the definition of LMI. And what we use LMI for is to, again, collect and support data to support why we are spending federal training dollars to put somebody back into school in a specific occupation or industry. So we'll use LMI for that reason. We do have a labor market specialist here locally, but the person is working remotely. If you would like more information or how to contact our labor market specialist, just let us know and leave a little note in the chat box, and we'll check it and we'll forward you the information. So LMI is used for labor market and economic data to project trends, so to speak, when you're looking at different occupations of whether or not there's a bright outlook or a bright future in this particular occupation, in this particular location, let's say. So it helps you drill down to help you make a better choice or educated choice. Next page. Do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, I can take it from here, Liz.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So for the slide, what you would do, so you would type in, so the hyperlink here, you would click this and it'll take you to this page, to your right. The area that we look at is the LMI by subject, and underneath that there's going to be bullet points. What we're going to be looking at is the occupations. So when you look at the occupations, it'll take you to this page. This page will tell you, okay, I want to look up my occupation really quickly. So you would click keyword search, sorry. And then if you want to do more in, take a little bit more time doing your research, you would do occupational profile, and it would go more kind of in a longer process to get to where you need to go, but it'll give you more options than what a keyword search does.
Okay.
So the keyword search, so this is the first part. You would, for example, for number 1, we put in healthcare, and then it brought up these occupations in the healthcare area. So we decided we wanted to click healthcare social workers as the example here. And then you would click Santa Barbara County if you live in this county. If you live in another county, you can click Ventura County, the county you live in. You would mark the county, and then you would click View Guide, and it'll give you all the backup information to the OWNIT. And yeah, so it'll give you the backup information you need. It'll do, it'll give you the projection of the, what's it called?
Of the growth in this industry?
Yeah, so it'll, how many jobs are available in this area, things like that. And that's what you also want to look at is like, okay, for this area, how many jobs are open right now? Like, do I have a chance that I could get into a job in this area? You kind of want to base it off of that and the openings that there is.
The job openings that there are. Yes, there's a feature in LMI where it'll show you 52 jobs are in the Santa Barbara County are healthcare field related, and it'll help you just make like I said, an educated guess.
Yeah, and I think coming up soon, I put a slide in here explaining how
Okay,
to do that. So,
perfect. Okay,
look at that area.
okay,
So that's the keyword search. For the occupational profile, there's 2 different steps you would have to go through. Again, you would type in healthcare and then the area, and you would click search. Oh, sorry. And then for healthcare, and then for step 2, you would click healthcare social worker and then hit explore occupation. This is gonna be, I suggest doing keyword search,
okay,
because when you do this area, it does give you more options, but I I suggest go this way. I just wanted to
okay,
show you guys you can do 2 different ways
okay.
to find it. Um, the next thing you can look at is the employment projections. Liz, do you know how to do that?
Yeah, so employment projections is basically projecting whether or not this position will be here in the next 5 to 10 years. Oh, it's actually 10 years right there, it says, in the
Mm-hmm.
next 10 years. So when you're looking at projections, um, because of, unfortunately, COVID-19, this data that's um, that you have access through LMI, just know it's about, I think it's 5 to 7 years. I could be wrong in that number,
Mm-hmm.
but it's data that's been collected years ago. So when we have something like a pandemic or something that hits our workforce, something as great as this, sometimes those numbers are skewed. So just be aware of that. Okay.
So you could click this, click employment projections, and it'll bring up, what I would suggest is to look at these top tabs.
Mhm.
What I base my research on is long-term, California long-term, local
Okay.
long-term, and the California staffing pattern.
Okay.
Because the staffing pattern, what that comes to is a whole nother area of WIOA that we would probably talk about some other time, but
Okay.
um,
Okay.
it's for OJTs list.
Okay.
But it it's just more backup information and be
Mhm.
like, okay, so um, if I look at this, these are the jobs that are in this industry that are open at the moment.
Correct.
You want to add anything to this slide, Liz?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, so this one
What it
is,
looks like.
yeah, so this is what it looks like for
Mhm.
the California long term. Um, so um, I didn't put anything here for educational level. I just put all because we don't really want to put a educational level on
To expand the search.
in the search. Yeah, because
Okay.
our program, there's so many different levels that we have,
Right.
so we don't want
Right.
to base it off of
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Um, but um, we um, what's it called? Sorry.
That's okay.
The
Are the
most,
occupations? Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. So these are the most job openings.
Tell her I'm
Right.
here. You guys are done.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I owe her a phone call.
Okay. Did you hear that?
Yes.
So the most job openings are here. So you would want to look at, okay, in between 2018 and 2028. These are the jobs that are mostly hiring at the moment. I don't think I picked a occupation for this one because it's all
Okay,
different
that's fine.
ones,
Right.
if you can tell. And then down here, yes, Liz.
Go ahead. I'll wait
Down
until it's done.
down here, this is kind of in the health range down
Mm-hmm.
here. Because it's nursing, health specialists, teachers. You kind of just have to look around and see that. You want to add anything to that list?
Yeah, the takeaway that I like people that are attending the call is to notice that the top where it says 2018 to 2028 occupations with most job openings, what that means is the column to the right side where it says total of job openings, these are total of job openings that are being projected that we think that we're going to have during this time period. And these are the medium wage salaries and annual wage salaries, I believe in national. That's how we did it this time, right? Or no,
Yeah.
it's California? California.
Yeah, we were doing it
It's
by
the state of California. Okay.
Mhm.
And then the fastest growing occupations, let's say if you're looking at doing a career change and you want to see if a solar photovoltaic installers, am I saying that right? PV installers is something that is going to be thriving in Santa Barbara or thriving in another state. You can actually do this search at a different state as well, but for the purpose of this demonstration, we'll stick to California. And notice what the employment trends look like down here with the fastest growing occupation. This is, again, for California. What the percentage changes are expected. I guess we could talk a little bit more about that if we have time, but this is a really good snapshot of our statewide projections. And I think
Yeah,
we have about 10 minutes left.
yeah, this is just the highlight
Right.
of everything.
Okay.
It's same again for the local long term.
So we could drill it down from California and then drill it down to Santa Barbara to get those projections.
Yep. And then this is the, oh, I put the same thing. Whoops. And then these are like the industries like before. Liz, it's the job openings.
Right.
Yeah.
Another example like the previous slides, but these are industries. If you're not really sure and you want to cast the net a little bit wider and look at different industries or occupations that would fall into different industries, that's a way to do that research as well. But same concept, what's the percentage change, but these again are projections that are expected to change either positive or negative as we move forward into the future.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay. This is this area is what I was explaining earlier, to find what's it called, to look at the job openings to see how many job openings there are. That's what this area is based off of. This is what I use. Do you have anything to add to this, Liz? Have you used this area?
No, I like the example that you gave where it says if you search lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
um, it'll bring up 3 different types of occupations.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. And
while
then it
you search
will.
law, it'll give you over 30 occupations. So it just really depends on how your search criteria, how you narrow that down, and the word choices that you use.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So again, you would click this link, or you would type the link into the search, and it'll bring up this page. You wouldn't use this area. What you would click is search by occupational, category, and title. If you click that, it'll take you to this page. Kind of went out of medical coding and did a different health occupation for this one. The phlebotomist. So you would click phlebotomy, the phlebotomist, and click explore occupations. And then I'll take you to this page.
Mm-hmm.
And this page is very helpful for what you're looking for. You would click phlebotomist, the county you live in, and then you would click these 4 options. So occupational wages, the occupational profile, occupational projections of employment, job openings, and about the occupation, this occupation from Own It. So that will give you like the Own It code so you don't have to type in the name. And then you would hit explore occupation. It would take you to this page. When you get to this page for phlebotomy, you would look here. So occupational wages, your hourly pay mean would be $23.79. And then, so we look at the hourly mean, right, Liz?
Yes.
Usually? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we would look at this and be like, oh, okay, that's good. If that's the area you want to go into. So then you would click get more information because you can't just base it off of this number. You want more information than just this number. And then.
Can you go back to the last slide? I just want to point something out.
Yeah, go for it.
So what Christina was mentioning right now about hourly mean wage, you don't want to base your decision on whether or not $23.79 is a wage that you can live off. What you also want to look into consideration is the occupational projection growth. Like, is this particular occupation going to be in Santa Barbara? We're just picking Santa Barbara as the example in the next 10 years or whatnot. So these are projections. But the other thing that I want you to take a look at is when you start looking at job openings and also occupational projections, sometimes you may have an occupational projection that's in rising. However, when you look at the job openings here in Santa Barbara, it may be rising nationwide or even statewide, but we only have 2 jobs in Santa Barbara actively open through this data search. So it may not be something that you want to consider. You might want to consider something else and expand your search to take a look at and exploring maybe an occupation that has 20 job openings as opposed to only 2. That's the only thing that I wanted to mention on this slide.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you would
Thank
hit
you.
get more info because you want more info on it. So then you
Here we
would,
go.
if you look on the right hand side, there's going to be 5 different pages you have to fill out. This is more information than it used to be, but of course you would click Santa Maria, Santa Barbara, because that is Santa Barbara County. You would put metropolitan, right, Liz?
Yes. Yeah.
Area. So you want to hit current, and then you would continue. You would select all the years and first quarter. You would click SOC, and then you would type in phlebotomy or phlebotomist, and then you would click, or it would highlight for you which one that is, and you would continue again. And then you would put in this is a NICS code, correct, Liz?
Yes. NICS
Okay.
code.
And then you would put all industries. Same again, you would put all this information. It's a lot of information to put into the system, but it'll give you a lot of backup information for the wage that you want. Do you have anything to say about this, Liz?
The only thing that I was going to say about the NAICS code, businesses when they register, they have to register their place of business and what exactly they're doing. Typically, a NAICS code will incorporate a business that identified themselves being, let's say, a manufacturer. I'm just throwing that out there, but they may do other types of occupations, or they may have other job titles or other types of positions within their facility, even though they are identified as a manufacturer. They could have, let's say, admin staff as well there. But the one thing that I want you to take away with the NAICS code is when a place of business registers themselves, this is the bulk of what they actually do, and that's information that we need as the show proof to support why we're putting people into school, into certain industry clusters. That's it.
Okay.
So it's really more important for us, but it's good to know.
Yeah. And then it'll take you to this page. This page will tell you, okay, 2013, they were making $22.06 for a wage. It'll just tell you each year how far it dropped, how far it went up, it dropped again, and how far it went up. I mean, you don't have to go for that in depth if you don't want to, but if you want to see if it's gone up or down, I would look at this area.
Right.
Same with the occupational projections of employment. What I look at is the average openings. Is that the area you look at it
Yeah,
too?
I do too. For
Okay.
OJTs, yes.
Yeah, okay. So we look up this area. It's the same process. It's a little bit different actually. So again, you click Santa Maria, Santa Barbara, current year, 2016 to 2026, phlebotomy, projected employment, and then you click view data. And that would tell you, okay, in between these years for phlebotomists in Santa Barbara County, there's 270 employment projections. So job
that
opening.
we're expected to have. That we're expected to have.
Yeah.
So it's a growth. It's definitely
Yeah.
growing in Santa Barbara
Oh yeah.
County.
Anything you have to say, Liz? Before we go on?
No, we're just about the minute over.
Okay. Do you want to talk about this real quick, and then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is our last slide, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So medical billing and coding. This is a flyer that Christina created. Awesome flyer. I like it because it shows an area of interest. Like, for example, if someone is interested in medical billing and coding, these are different. The first rectangle, we'll talk about what are the essential type of expertise that an individual may need for medical coders. For example, coders do not have to have a college degree to work in the field, but a certificate are recommended, and they might even be required, I'm not sure.
Certificates are required.
They are? Okay. So in Santa Barbara County Workforce Region, talks a little bit about the opportunities, what the growth rate is in this particular industry cluster. The certifications that someone may need as they move forward. For example, high school diploma or equivalent is I believe you have to have a high school diploma or equivalency in order to get a medical billing coding assistant. Is that correct? Or we're not sure?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Just to even get your license in that, you have to have a high school or a high school equivalent.
So one takeaway, if you have not received a high school diploma or something equivalent, then that would be your starting point as opposed to going back to school for medical coding. Then training occupations, training organizations. These are different vendors on the ETPL list that offer this type of training. Medical billing and coding occupations, these are different occupations that someone could potentially go into. And then the entry level, mid-level, and professional level will identify someone who enters the healthcare industry as a medical assistant could potentially go into medical records and health. We're using this cross-trainable or right across the way, Christina? Like, can we go up, down on?
Yeah, so I personally know someone that went from a medical assistant to a health information technician in like a year. They skipped phlebotomy and all that. They just went to the next step.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ultimately, something that you could go into in a professional level would be the emergency medical technician. And then some of the partners, some of the employers that we partner in here locally are located down at the end of the flyer. So business partners would be, like, for example, Sansom,
Cottage Hospital,
Smart, Cottage Hospital, Santa Barbara Neighborhood Clinic. Yeah. And I think that's the end of our presentation. Awesome. Do we have any questions?
I don't see any.
Okay. All right. If Peter, I think we are complete. Are you still there? Maybe not. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Until next time. Next weekly webinar is next